What if a general received an order and never acted on it? What if that silence wasn't disobedience, but strategy? This story begins with a voice recording that should never have existed, a military directive that was never signed, and a letter that arrived months after its sender was declared dead. Inside China's most secure war rooms, there are files that even Xi Jinping opens with gloves. This is one of them. The general who never received his final order. Or did he? The order that never came. It started with a locked drawer inside the Central Military Commission's East Wing. Nothing fancy. Just a thin, scratched metal cabinet, secured with an old mechanical lock. But inside was a sealed red envelope marked with a unique designation, Directive 082Z. It was meant for one man only, General Han Zemin. For decades, General Han had been the quiet architect behind China's southern defense perimeter. Not a celebrity general, not someone you'd see on state television giving speeches. But within Zhongnanhai, they said if the South ever needed to vanish under smoke, Han would be the one holding the match. The envelope had been sitting there for over 9 years, waiting. And then, on a humid August morning in 2024, it disappeared. There was no sign of forced entry, no broken lock, no digital alert. Just one empty drawer and a blinking red light on the internal archive system, triggered not by theft, but by authorized removal. But here's the strange part. General Han was never informed. He never received the order. At least, not officially. 3 days later, Han Zemin was gone. He didn't die. He didn't resign. He didn't defect. He vanished. His office was cleared out in under 4 hours. Security footage from the building was overwritten within the day. Colleagues were transferred. One junior officer who asked too many questions was reassigned to a remote radar outpost near Mongolia. And then the silence. Official state records continued to list Han Zemin as active strategic reserve, which, in PLA language, means shelved without explanation. But the military chatter channels told a different story. An intercepted message between 2 regional commanders mentioned the Red Seal operation going rogue. Another, flagged by a retired intelligence analyst, said plainly, Zemin didn't leave. He was never supposed to act. So what was in Directive 082Z? And who gave the order to remove it without activating it? The deeper we dig, the more it looks like Directive 082Z was never meant to be read. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But someone with enough clearance to override 4 layers of military protocol, decided otherwise. The last confirmed image of General Han is from a satellite shot taken 6 days after his disappearance. It shows a convoy of unmarked black vehicles traveling along a rarely used road leading into the Tian Shan Mountains. After that, the trail goes cold. But here's what chills everyone who's seen the original envelope design. The words printed on its back weren't military. They were political. To be opened only if he turns against us. Who was he? And what if he never turned? That's the story we're starting today. The command that was rewritten twice. Inside the People's Liberation Army archives, deep beneath a decommissioned airbase in Hebei province, sits a classified document known only by its control number, D431X. It's officially labeled as a contingency command override. But internally, it's nicknamed something else, the Ghost Order. The file's metadata shows it was edited 3 times. The first version was drafted in 2015, right after Xi Jinping consolidated control over the Central Military Commission. The language was vague, to be implemented only under direct compromise of core leadership integrity. The second edit came in 2018. This time, the language was sharpened. Specific threat vectors were added: unauthorized diplomatic engagement, unsanctioned troop movement, and one chilling phrase: activation condition, deviation from national destiny framework. The third and final version was dated June 4, 2023, less than 2 months before General Han vanished. This version removed all conditions. Instead, it simply read, Upon retrieval of Directive 082-Z, immediate compliance is assumed. No confirmation needed. No fallback authorized. In other words, the moment the envelope was touched, the wheels were set in motion, whether Han Zemin knew it or not. That raises two terrifying questions. First, why would the command protocol be rewritten to remove all human confirmation? Second, who had the authority to bypass the most secure decision node in the Chinese military chain? There's one theory. Unproven. Dangerous to speak aloud. Some say Xi didn't rewrite the order himself. They say it was written in his name, but executed by someone testing the limits of loyalty beneath him. A ghost hand inside the mechanism of power. And that's where the conspiracy around Shadow Doctrine 07 begins. This term popped up in a restricted military chat room leak from late 2023. It referred to a protocol supposedly designed to test military obedience in scenarios where she appears to give an order, but hasn't. The idea: simulate authority. Measure response. Isolate disloyalty. If this sounds like paranoia, that's because it is. But it's not without precedent. The Soviet Union used similar simulations in the 80s. So did the US during Cold War nuclear drills. In a regime where power is centralized to a single man, what happens when you test the system by pretending that man has spoken? One thing is clear: Directive 082-Z wasn't opened by accident. It was a trigger. And General Han, he wasn't supposed to survive the silence. The officer who lied under oath. 3 weeks after General Han disappeared, a closed-door tribunal convened inside the 2nd Artillery Corps headquarters. Only 8 people were present. One of them, Colonel Liang Wei, would later be accused of perjury. But not for lying about Han. For lying for him. Colonel Liang was Han Zemin's aide for nearly a decade. They traveled together, briefed together, and even served on the same disciplinary review committee. If anyone knew where Han might vanish to, it was Liang. When asked under oath whether Han ever discussed Directive 082-Z or any sealed orders from Zhongnanhai, Liang's answer was firm. Never. He would never open an envelope without a chain of command signal. The problem? Surveillance logs, leaked weeks later, placed Liang outside the restricted archive room exactly 7 minutes after Han entered it. Worse, new metadata from the command document showed a biometric confirmation, matching Liang's thumbprint, was used to authenticate the file unlock. So, what was going on? Why would Liang perjure himself, knowing the truth would surface? Unless that was the point. What emerged later was far more disturbing than disobedience. Liang hadn't lied to protect Han. He'd lied because he believed the command inside the envelope was real, even if Han didn't. In a private message later recovered from his deleted secure account, Liang wrote to an unnamed contact. "We knew it would come. The envelope was just the form. The order already lived in us." That phrase, "the order already lived in us," sparked a chilling realization. What if Directive 082-Z wasn't just about action? What if it was a test of belief? Liang's tribunal ended without execution. But he was stripped of all rank, erased from the party registry, and reassigned to a civil defense post in Xinjiang. No one has heard from him since. Some say he guards a radio tower that no longer transmits. Others say he's dead. But a whisper remains in PLA circles. If Liang lied under oath, then truth is classified. The recording that played without a source. It happened in a bunker beneath Mount Qingqing, an isolated PLA communications relay used only during wartime drills. The site was in maintenance lockdown. No one was supposed to be transmitting. Yet at exactly 2:14 a.m., every speaker inside the relay station activated. No alarms. No commands. Just a voice. Clear, slow, calm. Speaking Mandarin, but with Xi Jinping's voice. The words were simple. Phase 2 is authorized. The seal is acknowledged. It lasted 11 seconds. Then silence. Technicians scrambled to trace the source. No local device showed playback. No hard line carried the signal. Internal logs showed zero data movement. It was as if the sound had materialized inside the system. When they pulled the black box logs, a single anomaly stood out. The audio frequency had a signature ping only matched to one file in Zhongnanhai's classified archive. The problem? That file was never supposed to leave the compound. And it was sealed. Crimson File Number 9. Again. 1 week later, a technician named Song Jelin vanished. His last known action, attempting to decode the playback header using a 12-digit cipher labeled SCP Phoenix. Song's wife received an envelope 2 days later. No message inside. Only a red thumbprint on a folded sheet of wax paper. To this day, no one has been able to replicate the playback. No one has located the transmission's origin. But 3 months later, a senior engineer stationed at a satellite ground station in Inner Mongolia reported a similar event. Same voice. Same sentence. This time, it ended with a third phrase. The witness has heard enough. The engineer requested transfer. He died in transit, officially, from a sudden pulmonary embolism. Unofficially, his autopsy was never filed. And just like the voices, they left no trace. The general who wrote back after his death. 3 months after General Han Zemin was officially declared non-operational, a letter surfaced at a provincial military hospital in Chengdu. It was handwritten, signed, and sealed using Han's personal red wax stamp, a style long out of use but uniquely his. It was addressed to Xi Jinping. The envelope arrived without courier logs. No fingerprints. No camera footage from the drop-off. The letter inside wasn't long. Just 9 lines. The order was never unclear. Only the consequences were. I did not disobey. I awaited the moment. The seal, once broken, cannot be unbroken. Not even by you. If you are reading this, the voice has already traveled. I have no legacy. Only loyalty. The final line was signed. Han Zemin, soldier. Xi's response? Unknown. The envelope was taken directly to a level 9 secure vault inside Zhongnanhai, one used for storing pre-mortem declarations and defection protocols. But whispers began to circulate about a new operation named Red Ember, believed to be a last resort protocol written by Xi himself. One that activates only if internal voice replication breaches strategic containment. Han Zemin, officially, remains dead. But deep in defense archives, analysts claim an encrypted radio burst, sent 41 days after Han's declared death, originated from a high-altitude station in Sichuan province. The burst contained a single file. An audio clip, 11 seconds long. Xi's voice, but reversed. And beneath the frequency range, in noise most humans can't hear, there was a single embedded line of metadata. Zemin was the echo, not the origin. What if a man could follow his final order, even after death? What if that order wasn't from a human, but a signal? If you found this story haunting, mysterious, or just deeply curious, make sure to subscribe for more. We tell stories that weren't supposed to be found. And sometimes, they echo back. Don't forget to like, comment, and hit the bell. The next signal could already be waiting.